Hey everybody, this is Frankie Aberzino with the Uncensored Report, and you may be asking why I'm calling it that versus the Rogue Rant, because I've noticed there are more of reports, and it's more, I want to do more throughout the day, because what happened is I had an epiphany this weekend. I was watching the news, and I got so disturbed that the local major media, not the local, the national, ABC, CBS, Fox, all those guys, CNN, they only put out half-truths. They don't put out all the news that's out there. And they leave many Americans that only listen to that news dumbed down. I can't tell you how many times, even locally, I'll put out a story and it isn't true until Herald or WWSB puts it out. And it's amazing. And so I'm like, I got to figure out a way to communicate what's going on internationally, what others know that we don't. So that's with that. Now going into the story. ISIL, IS, Al-Qaeda, El-Nusra, whatever they're called today. There's a story out there that ran in the international press, basically talking about how 9,000 ISIS fighters were allowed to leave Mosul before the attack took place. Now, for those that don't know, Mosul is in Iraq, about 1 million people. It's been under siege for a few years. I follow Mosul Eye, and they talk about the tyranny that's going on under ISIS rule. The Iraqi army started attacking yesterday under the guidance of the United States. And the word is that these ISIS soldiers, extremists, I wouldn't even call them soldiers, these extremists were allowed to leave. And a lot of people were left wondering, is this the next phase of the war in Syria? And that's the question that's out there. Is this an all new level of chaos that's out there? Because we have this worldwide danger. Everybody thinks World War III is amongst us. The writing is on the wall. You got Russia. They're out there and they're claiming, or they're suggesting, that the United States, Saudi Arabia, and other partners are planning to use ISIS once again to destabilize Assad in Syria. For those of you that don't know, this whole Syria thing started over a pipeline. Assad didn't want to play ball. So the United States went in there through Saudi Arabia, using them as their proxy. And they're fighting Iran. Russia's using them as their proxy. Same thing's happening in Yemen, but that's for different reasons down there. So we're in there trying to destabilize. Our ultimate goal is to get rid of Assad. The United States Army or military has been there for years, done nothing, accomplished nothing. They're bombing. They're telling the ISIS extremists, hey, we're going to bomb you now, or you may want to leave there. What's that accomplishing? Suddenly Russia comes in, starts bombing the hell out of these extremists. And things start getting accomplished. The United States turns Russia into the bad guy because they're going after their units, their moderates. There are no moderates. Al-Nusra is not a moderate. They're extremists that used to fight along with ISIS, alongside with them. They would give them their weapons. The United States' ultimate goal is to get rid of Assad. And they're doing this vis-a-vis these extremists that were financed and trained in Saudi Arabia. But you wouldn't know that by listening to our major media here. They'll go out there. They're bombing these jihadist spots where nobody's there. It leaves us with the impression that, hey, we're doing something there. It's sneaking. They're starting to get some blowback. You might be thinking, well, how could this story be true? UK Sun, pretty legitimate media source. They're stating that thousands of ISIS fighters were given this free passage out of Iraq to fight in Syria. Under the agreement, it was brokered by Saudi Arabia. The United States coalition would only bomb targets that were agreed upon with the militants in advance. 9,000 soldiers were transferred to the eastern regions of Syria. This was before that whole Mosul attack. This should concern you guys. This whole action, it represents a new front in the Syrian war. It increases the likelihood of confrontation against Russia, the mother bear. Essentially, these ISIS soldiers would be taken on Syria in this proxy. And these maneuvers for the Washington to be successful depend upon a compliant and dumbed down American population, which they have right now. Unfortunately, the assumption is that nobody will pay attention. And it's pretty hard when people only rely on our major media as their only source, and unless they say it isn't true. So Russia's already putting Washington on notice. They're saying, hey, any direct hits or strikes against Syrians would be regarded as a direct attack on Russia, and we will retaliate. Russia says we will not be the scapegoat for Washington and their Western media. So now both are increasing drills. They're moving bases. They're moving planes. They're moving ships. They're moving nuclear bombs. You don't even want to get me started on what Ukraine's all about. That's for another story. But all this should be concerning to you guys. In Russia, they're having mock drills where they're trying to evacuate major cities in case there's a nuclear catastrophe. I think 40 million people. You didn't even hear about that here. One of their leaders said just yesterday, start stocking up on food and water. Putin came out in an interview about 2 months ago saying, look, you guys are listening to your Western media and you don't realize the buttons are being pushed here. And the big bear is being awakened. So the whole point of this report is to wake up. And I know this is true because ever since I've been in the business, like I said, I could put out stories and they're accurate, research, factual, but unless major media, local major media says it, it's not true. One time a pedophile walked around for 9 months, 8 months because nobody believed my story because I wasn't the major media. It's time to wake up, folks. Time to smell the coffee, as I always say. What are your thoughts? This has been Frankie with the Uncensored Report.